All right, so we still got the Uber app going, but even if we were to pick up a rider right now, we're in destination mode, trying to get to the house by 6:10. I did not expect to have to come to Austin today. We're on our way back to the greater metro Houston area, but first we've got to get to the Supercharger, right? And hopefully we can get there. This thing says we'll be at 5% when we get there, so something tells me that we should have been able to get to a better Supercharger, but I'm trusting this thing. I've never ever had to be towed. I don't plan to start now, so I'm gonna turn the AC off. Part of me says that 5% is too close. But either way, we're gonna trust it. Even if you go to 0%, you still got about 30 miles in your battery, right? So obviously we can go 40 miles. But see how this pans out. That was a crazy trip. We're definitely gonna have to break that down into parts. I mean, it was over two and a half hours roughly. 2.5 divided by 3. Man, each one taking about an hour roughly. Cybertruck, love it. So the Supercharger, I want to say, is going to be the Buc-ee's. We're going to have to turn this thing off, I think. So we'll see how it goes. We might just be trying to get back to Katy, but I'd like to pick up some rides along the way. We'll see how it goes, but we're gonna leave the app going. I'm gonna charge up down here. Holy smokes. So what had happened, from what I could gather, is that she must have been in Austin and had her car serviced at that Ford dealership. She didn't really feel like talking. I could tell she had the headphones on. So I, wanted to make her ride it. She was asleep. I'd look back there occasionally. Yeah, she was knocked out. 2.5 hours. Hell, I was fighting sleep. But the vehicle is the main attraction, right? Our AI student driver. This is our first Uber ride after receiving version 14.2.2.3. And it just so happens to be a 2.5 Uber ride from Katy to Austin, Texas. I like ATX. I love ATX. But did not plan to go. We got the freeze this weekend. I wanted to go to HEB, grab some snacks and things of that nature. See if there's anything. I mean, the house is pretty loaded, but just in case we're sheltering inside, I wanted some things for me. And Yosh can partake if she so chooses, but most of the food and snacks in the house are of an Asian variety, right? And she tries to get things for me, but for the most part, you tend to adopt the likes of your cohabiter. So I don't know if I'll be able to make it to HEB in time. I also have a prior engagement at about 7, which I could always probably cancel, but I don't want to. Yeah, things are. Yeah, this was weird, but I don't know how expensive that ride was, but when I accepted it, it was like an $85 for me, right? And I'm probably getting 30 to 40% of that fare of what the whole thing might have cost the consumer. That is wild. It's probably a $200 Uber ride. Insane. So, but our AI student driver, version 14.2.2.3, handled it better than I could have, for sure. To the point where the ride was so relaxing that not only the passenger conked out, but your boy, yours truly, had some difficulty maintaining my alertness. I like to rotate my fingers, probably developing a weird habit in doing so. But either way, that kind of keeps my mind going. I even try to count how many times I rotate my thumb and my index finger. That may be some alarming behavior, but I try to stay awake as best I can. And this thing didn't go off, the attention monitoring system. It got close, but it didn't go off. So I think I'm doing fairly decent. But man, it would have been so much better if the rider had wanted to engage in conversation, but truth be told, that's not my decision. I can't make if I try to force it, it becomes an awkward 2.5 hour Uber ride. Nobody wants that. So now we've got to get back to the greater Metro Houston area. I don't know. I probably should. I'm awake now, talking into the camera. This feels kind of good. We just got to get back to the Supercharger station. We started the good thing. We started at almost. We're probably like at 75% for the battery. Around 220 miles or so when we got going. Can't really super recall, but I don't even think that, probably like 60%, honestly. Maybe, I don't know. The percentages, right now we are very much at 52 miles plus the little extra in reserve for this battery. Again, I told you, I've never ever had to haul my car to a supercharger. Would be a badge of dishonor, almost to the point where I would trade this thing in. Like, if it was my fault because I made a judgment error, you know, boy, I tell you, that would not be a good sight for me, honestly. So our car Uber ride number 1, 2.5 hours, no interventions, no qualms, no hiccups, just doing the dang thing. I don't know what more would you want. A lot of it was freeway driving, where I feel the most comfortable. Probably why it makes me want to go night-night. You want to go night-night? Yeah, I did want to go night-night, but I didn't. And but we also got some city streets in there. We're able to maneuver and handle various different construction zones on the freeway, various different speed traps. When you go into some towns, drops from 75 to 55. Our vehicle handling speed traps about as good as a seasoned veteran driver in that region. You know, keeping up with the flow of traffic, even if some of the speed limits are a little off. Right, there's some construction where it's not reading the exact speed limit, but in that same token, if it started going that, we're bound to get ran over, right? We would definitely cause a lot of people to become upset if we go from 75 and drop to 60, even though the construction zone is posted as 60, right? To me, it's kind of a recommendation if you're keeping up with the flow of traffic. But if a cop wants to pull us over, we gotta bite that. You know, as long as we are not in, as long as we have, what is the term I'm thinking of? Liability. As long as we have liability, we are responsible. So, and I felt safe. Like if it had slowed down to 60, I might have smashed the accelerator. Because cars behind me, they're not putting up with that bull. So, I mean, no notes. The car did so well. I wish I could take some time, now that I'm here in Austin, to just use the robo-taxi. Like, I didn't expect to be here, folks. But I do have responsibilities back at the crib. We got to get ready for the freeze. Hopefully it's nothing serious. I say that coming from a place of empathy. Because even if the power does go out because of transformers up here getting pounded with snow and ice, and that, you know, those major power situations end up causing so much stress that it knocks out power even where maybe the ice and snow aren't as bad, I'm not worried, because my house can survive a few days. It can survive. I mean, we are not going to be without power unless it's like the grid is gone, right? And even then, we would figure out how to sparse out that power so that it would last much, much longer than if we were to just, you know, behave as usual. I have a feeling if it does get bad, there will be an influx of Generacs being purchased, power walls for those that may be a little more enlightened, and maybe even some, in Southeast Texas, buying a solar system, even with, what is it called, net metering. Even with net metering, it is a wash, kind of, right? For the cost of the solar system and the net metering, where you're selling energy back to the grid, even with the credits, it's a wash, leaning towards like almost not as fruitful, if you know what I mean. But on the other hand, there are moments when Tesla has these virtual power plant events, and you can, depending on how many power walls you have, you can make some serious cash, like enough to pay for 2 or 3 months of your energy bill, which, if you own electric vehicles, is also your gas bill, gas equivalent bill. Transportation bill is probably what the term I should use. So not only is it your electric bill, but it's your transportation bill all rolled into one. That's what I'm currently experiencing, as Tesla Electric is my energy provider. We just had the power walls replaced due to a recall for the Powerwall 2s. We now have 3 fresh Powerwall 3s in their stead, which I can't argue. I'll take that for free 99. Give it to me, baby. But yeah, this is, how do I put this? Is it the loan payment is somewhere around $400 a month. Would my energy bill be higher than that with 2 electric vehicles? You betcha about them dollar. So I'm okay with having no energy bill, basically no transportation bill. We're gonna go to this Supercharger, have to charge up to get us to the house, right? That's the plan. That's gonna cost me $13, I think, between $13 and $20, whatever that may be, at the given rate that we're gonna be drawing electricity. not too terribly concerned with that. But for the most part, as long as you're not traveling 150 plus miles daily, most of your energy needs can be met at the crib. And that's my wife. We just enrolled in the unlimited midnight to 6 a.m. charging with Tesla Electric, the unlimited vehicle charging. We just enrolled her car because she's the only one that really needs it to be right. So we plug her car in when she gets home, starts charging at midnight, and it's free for her to drain, you know, to not drain our power walls, but in turn, you know, use that energy from the grid and charge the car for free. Well, for $25. So basically our transportation cost is around $25, but even that extra, like my bills were between -$20 and -$40, depending on sun and home usage and all that other stuff. We rarely have a Tesla electric bill. And because we have 3 power walls, each power wall is basically, they give us $10 for each power wall. I have to check, I have to double check. I think it's $10, so that's $30 right there. If you're starting to do the math, $30 for each power wall, $30 for the 3 power walls. Unlimited supercharging for one vehicle is $25 per month. That's still a net negative of -$5 when you're just looking at that. So if the sun's out, guns out, right? Definitely some net metering going on, so we can sell back those credits. I want to say at 90% of the cost of the energy, whatever. All in all, it is nice to have, and I'm gonna tell you right now, folks, energy's not gonna get cheaper. So right now it's a wash, but 10 years from now, it could look like an incredible foresight of, you know, preparation for energy to, I don't know, become super expensive due to data centers, electric vehicles, and all these other things that are going to require electricity, right? The demand for electricity isn't going anywhere. In fact, it's going to increase dramatically. So the cost of electricity will increase dramatically. If you have a capability of not just converting the sun into what you need around the house during the day, you have a means of storing that energy, that excess energy, into battery storage so that you could use it at night. And then when we have VPP events, virtual power plant events, due to being a member of Tesla Electric, we can take that energy from the stored energy from the power walls and then sell that back at an elevated rate when the cost of energy does seem to spike around these sensitive times, you know, like in the mornings when people are getting ready for work, in the evenings when everybody's home all of a sudden. There are spikes in the demand for energy that, you know, coalesce with the price of energy, coincidentally. And if we're prepared, we can take advantage of that and use it to our advantage. That is what's happening now. Imagine what's going to happen 5-10 years from now. There'll be more VPP events. There'll be, you know, honestly, even with what's happening now, I think about it seriously when we're talking needing more power walls. But we'll cross those bridges as we get to them. This is our starter home. We're not going to go anywhere unless we absolutely have to. And honestly, if we're selling this home, we're probably moving to Japan. Maybe. However, there are some things that might slow that transition, right? If I were to gain employment with Tesla, doing anything, like I don't need to be an engineer, I don't need to be a software optimist builder. We'll do anything for this company. For me, it would be time well spent instead of, you know, what I'm doing now is trying to get the word out, but I'd love to help the company as best I can. If I were to do that and retain gainful employment with Tesla, I think Yosh would understand. We would have conversations. She's really good at her job that she's doing here in Houston. And, you know, both of us working to a, you know, fulfillment later on when we're in our 50s and 60s, we'll be able to have even better retirement options. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking to live longer, but not just live longer, but having those good years up in the later stages of life, right? Just things that we can use to enjoy and enjoy family at a greater intensity. Anyway, but yeah, we are preconditioning the battery for fast charging. Yes, indeed. We haven't gotten a hit off the Uber app, which we probably should. You know, we're just seeing what it looks like, if we could get anybody going our way. But we definitely gonna go to the Buc-ee's, get something to drink. Was ill prepared for a road trip of this caliber. All right, definitely get something to drink, go to the bathroom. I'm shocked. My wife wouldn't have been able to make that trip, ladies and gentlemen, 2.5 hours without needing to go to that Buc-ee's. And the young lady, she did, you know, no stops. We went straight through, knocked it out. And with an EV, had I been at 160 miles to the battery, like a little less than half, we would have needed to stop. Would have been no doubt. And right now we are currently at 35 miles on the meter there. We should arrive at 4% is what it's telling me. The wind is starting to pick up and gust. But, you know, like I said, this isn't my first rodeo. Back in 2020, I, you know, drained the battery just to see what it would be like. Not to the point of pushing it. And then lo and behold, we find out that even if you were to take this thing down to 0, you're still going to have roughly 25 to 30 miles in the battery regardless, even at 0%. So, you know, not my first rodeo. And if we did, we would call someone and be incredibly dejected. But if the car says we can make it to the Bastrop charger in 23 minutes, I believe my car. At least that's what I'm gonna do. Trust the car knows what it's doing. So even as we put in the home destination, Uber sent home to the car while the Uber app is still going on. We got it charging on the pad now.